Alright, let's start this up. This is going to be the end of year Q&A. I've heard some people complaining about the fact that I do my Q&As while playing WoW now. I'm not really sure. It seems most people don't mind, but also some people don't like it. I'm gonna keep doing it for a little bit. It seems fine. If it's really too distracting, I'll stop. But it seems like this is a better way for me to do it. Enough about that. For this video, the Q&A, I'll be talking about, wrapping up the previous year, talking about plans for the next year, and then going over some questions from last time. Plans currently with the channel. I recently got a new editor. I don't know if you guys watched the last video or not by now. The top 10 overpowered abilities in Vanilla WoW. Grim edited the video, and he did a great job. Everyone loved it. Video's doing super well right now, too. Currently has like 300,000 views, which is pretty good for a video that came out a week ago. Then again, it was an A-tier idea, so it probably would have done well even if I had edited it with my less than stellar editing compared to Grim. Grim should be on board for future videos. We'll see how long that lasts. Hopefully, it's a long partnership, but he does have his own channel he wants to grow as well, too. And I'm still going to be working on videos myself. It's not going to be just Grim doing videos on the channel, even though that would greatly increase the quality of videos on my channel. But yeah, he's on board. He previously worked with Crucial. So if you were a fan of like Crucial's later videos or the Varian video he put out, that was all Grim's editing work. So excited to have him on board. Expect great videos for the future until he gets bored of my channel or decides to work on his instead. Now, to-do list for 2019. I think I can talk about that real quick before doing my 2018 year roundup. I have 4 things on here. First one is to finish the Rescue Cat series. The Rescue Cat series is like an animated duel series on my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. My Yu-Gi-Oh channel right now is doing really well for itself, to the point where in December, my Yu-Gi-Oh channel both got more views than my WoW channel and made more ad revenue than my WoW channel. My WoW channel currently is like around 170,000 subscribers and is not doing bad. Like, I know people have a very negative opinion on World of Warcraft right now, and some of the top WoW channels aren't seen too well in their videos and views. Not mine. My channel's doing fine. It's not like the best month. The best month was when BFA launched, but that's always going to be the case. Every WoW channel is going to have their best month during a new expansion launch. That's just how it's going to be. But, once the lull comes in, then it really goes down to the people who really know what they're doing. Those are the ones who actually grow during the lull periods. And that perfectly describes my channel. I have an idea of what I'm doing and what does well. So my channel is doing great. And the fact that my Yu-Gi-Oh channel beat it regardless of that fact just means Yu-Gi-Oh stuff's going well. That being said, the Rescue Rabbit series for my Yu-Gi-Oh channel, it's not like a money series. It's not super great. It does okay. It gets like 20 to 30,000 views, which is fine. That's not something you dedicate a bunch of time and effort into, because those videos take a lot of time and effort to make. But it's a fun little series I make. People ask about it all the time, and I really want to finish it up. Even though it's not really something I'm doing for money, which is actually that's a good thing I should probably talk about, because in some of these videos I'll talk about how I stopped doing things because they don't make money and stuff like that, and it kind of reminds me of what's happening with Heroes of the Storm recently. If I have a series on my channel that doesn't do well, like the news series or Dave and Devbot, if I have to dedicate a lot of time and effort into it, and I'm not making any money from it, at that point it's not work and, something I'm doing for a hobby, that just happens to make a little bit of money. Whereas that same amount of time could be spent on, known ventures, things I know for a fact will do well, which is actual work. And since I don't have an unlimited amount of time, I have to think about these kinds of things. Wait, what am I supposed to do? Go to the top of the tower? And so I have to make these business calls with my series. Like, I'll start up a new series, and if it does well, then, I can keep doing it during my work hours. If it doesn't, then I have to relegate that to free time status, or hobby thing. I have to relegate my time to it, especially since I take weekends off now, so I don't have, I can't just be constantly working on videos. And I kind of forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, so, I say things, I make it and it doesn't make me any money, so I can't really work on it. That's because at that point it's a hobby and not a job. Just because my job is to make videos, not all videos are created equal. Some of them will take a lot of time and effort and get no views. And at that point, that's not part of my work. That's just me indulging in a hobby. And so I have to make these distinctions. Otherwise, that's just not a good way to run a business. Especially since I hire people now to do editing jobs. But, I still like to make these things, and if it's not doing well, I have to make a call if I want to continue it or not as a hobby. And that's kind of the call I made for my weather channel, and that's why I made it. And kind of the thing I made for the machinimas. I like them, so they're going to continue, but at a much lesser pace. And that kind of reminds me of Heroes of the Storm. It probably wasn't doing well to the point where they couldn't really invest the money into it anymore. So they had to make a business call and, cancel it. Because at that point, you're just wasting money that could be spent on other things. That's just, a little side story I want to talk about, because someone brought it up in my Discord recently, and I was like, you know what? I kind of just assumed everyone knew this. It'd probably be a good idea if I told people, why I have to cancel series and stuff. Or move them to new channels and everything. So, Rescue Rabbit, series for my Yu-Gi-Oh channel, a fun one that doesn't really do well enough. I want to finish it. I want to finish Dave and Devbot Season 3. I just talked about how that was a failed series that I have to relegate to, hobby time. I want to finish up the third season. Third season isn't going to finish the series. It is by far the least successful thing I've made. That's basically my measurement of success. My most successful things are my top 10s, and my least successful thing is Dave and Devbot. So, anything I have, I can judge it is it towards Dave and Devbot levels of failure, or towards top 10 levels of success? But I want to finish Season 3 anyway. I've talked about this in all my other Q&As. It's a fun little thing I like. I want to finish the story. Even if very few people care about it. But there are some people who do. And it's just because I watched this one web series and I really liked it. And the creator stopped making it because he wasn't into it anymore. And I was like, I'll never do that. If I ever make anything, I'll finish it to the end. And it's I can kind of see why he gave up on it now. Even though his was much more successful than mine. And next thing on my to-do list for 2019, I'm not really big on goals, New Year's resolutions. I'm in the mind of, if you're going to make a major life decision, the best time to do it is immediately, instead of waiting for an arbitrary date. But at the same time, I don't need to be so hard fast on that kind of philosophy. It could be a good idea to have, little hobby goals, not major life-changing things. Just, things I kind of want to get done for the year, because I didn't really do any fun projects last year. Next thing I want to do is I want to make the last video for my jokes channel. Because part of this, I had to cut out a lot of my alt channels Because I have like 11 or 12 YouTube channels, and I only upload to 4 of them, nowadays anyway. But I used to upload to all of them. And I had to cut out the other ones because uploading to 4 is already, like 4 times more than other people do. And 3 times more than what normal YouTubers do, especially since I have 2 successful channels. I only work Monday through Friday now. I have to take the weekends off because of, it's just for my health. It's not a good idea to work 24/7. So instead, I work 24/5 out of 7, and I take the 2 days on the weekends off. That way I can let my body rest. Because of that, I shut down all my other channels that weren't doing well. And my jokes channel was one that a lot of people like the most. It's like this channel I have where I made flash animation videos for crappy jokes, like anti-jokes and everything. And lots of people liked it, but I had to cut it because those videos took too long to make and are completely unsustainable. Like, even if the channel did take off, the average video is like less than 30 seconds, which means I would make no money on the channel no matter what. It's purely a hobby thing. It's not something you do if you want to, make it big on YouTube. But I do want to make one last video for the channel. I want to make a video of the coffin joke. For those of you for the very few people who show up to my streams, there's this popular thing people like to ask for in the comments, and they'll always ask me to tell the coffin joke. And the reason they ask me to tell the coffin joke is because it's terrible. But the thing is, the whole point of the joke is to build anticipation. So the joke itself is about 10 minutes long on average to tell. And at the end of the joke, the entire thing is just building anticipation for, like, what is the coffin. Because a little groundwork of the coffin joke, it starts off with a guy at a crosswalk, and then a coffin jumps out the back of a mortician's car and then starts chasing him. And the joke is basically telling the adventures of trying to run away from this coffin in as much details as possible. And then at the very end, you finally figure out... Well, you don't really figure out anything. All you're doing is building up this mystery, like, what is this coffin? Is he going to get away or not? And then it's solved in the most mundane way possible, and it pisses people off every time. And it's so funny to tell. That's why people ask it. Because it's a good stream joke to tell. Because you build up so much anticipation telling the joke for 10 minutes. And then when you finally get to the punchline, everyone will comment like, "You just wasted 10 minutes of my life. Terrible joke. I'm unsubbing." It's a good troll joke. Because it does have a punchline. It's just very underwhelming for the anticipation for it. And since people ask for it all the time, it would be nice if I had something just to link them. Or I can just, watch it on stream. Because I don't like telling the joke every stream. Even though it's asked for literally every single stream. It would be nice if I had something to link someone. And that's why I have that. Because there's also another joke that's similar called the pink ping pong ball joke. And I have a video for that, and I can just link it to him, because it's on the Jokes channel. So I want to make one last video for the Jokes channel, the coffin joke. And then that will be the final video on that channel. Unless I decide to reboot it in the future. I don't have any plans for that currently, but, anything could happen, I guess. And finally, I want to work on a new interactive story. Like... I have 3 of them on the channel. I only talk about 2 of them because one of them is so bad. I regulate it as one of the worst videos on my channel. I once did a stream where I watched through all of my bad videos, and that was just too much. I was physically cringing the entire time, and one of those interactive stories is part of my videos of the worst ones I've ever made. But the other 2 I liked very much. Like the first one I made, The Mage Who Leapt Through Time, there's 2 possible stories you can interact with. And there's a whole bunch of, there's 30 videos to it, and there's 2 stories with multiple endings. I had someone a couple of weeks ago create a map of how to get to all the endings. I was like, oh, I can't believe someone cared enough about that crappy thing I made to make a map of it. And it always warms my heart whenever I see people comment on like, ooh, I finally finished it. This was actually really good. I was like, aw, why thank you. Past me worked for 3 months on that video. So I'm really glad that some people enjoyed it. And there's also another one I made. It wasn't anywhere near as detailed as the mage video. It was just one I made for a Halloween special, about a rogue going through the Karazhan crypts. And I thought I made that one pretty recently, and I went back to look at it. And I made that video 3 years ago now. I was like, holy hell. I can't believe it's been 3 years. Yeah, I guess I did make that in Warlords of Draenor. So it's been a while since I've made one, because I've done 3 of them before, and I quite like doing them. They've changed annotations. You can't actually do those anymore on YouTube, but you can still do the end cards, and you're limited to 4 options, which is fine. I rarely went over 4 different options for each video, so they're still possible to do. And I'd like to do another one, and I do have an idea for one, but I want to do the other 3 things first, and if I finish those other 3 hobby projects, then I'll work the rest of the year on the new interactive story. You know, assuming I do any of these at all. These are like soft goals, things I want to get done by the end of the year. And... oh, I can't fly yet. How am I supposed to get down here? I can probably... oh, I know. I can heroic leap. Right? Right? If I can get out of this, I can heroic leap down there. Oh my god. I think I'm stuck. Oh no. Okay. Damn it. Heroic leap is such a long cooldown. Okay, I can wait for heroic leap, or I can just go down this elevator that's literally right here. Okay, so that was my to-do list for 2019. I think I can talk about the channel in 2018. The channel in 2018 for most of the year was basically in like maintenance mode, because I had a whole host of health problems in 2018 that started in 2017. Like, I remember in 2017 I had all these plans for all these hobby projects I was going to work on. I was like, I'm going to grow my channel, I'm going to work on all of these, you know, hobby abilities. That's when I put out Dave and Devbot Season 2 in its entirety, was in 2017, and also when I worked on the Inzot series. But I also had like a lot of health problems that just completely stopped any kind of growth. Is this it? Oh, okay. And then the problems just kind of continued in 2018. I can probably give a brief overview of what happened. You see, in 2017, I had 2 diagnoses. First one was IBS, which isn't really that big a deal. It just means I have like a very restricted diet now. And the other one was costochondritis, which was like chest pains. And those were really bad. Like, the chest pains of that symptoms are exactly the same as symptoms for a heart attack. So that was scary dealing with that. And I found out what it was, and I had to change my lifestyle in order to fix it. And I think I have that one pretty much under control. I haven't really had chest pains in like a long time. But then again, I took it super seriously, and I completely changed so many parts of my life to compensate for it. And then those were doing well. And then after Christmas, I decided to do 12 days of videos for the end of 2017, where I made 12 videos in 12 days. I did prep beforehand. I had a couple of videos ready, but that was still a ton of time and effort, because, you know, a full video usually takes about a week of work. And those were 12 full videos. So that was an insane amount of work. That was like 4 times the normal amount of work. And I burned out really hard after that. Like, I took 2 weeks off in January, and I went back to work. And then I noticed, like, I was having problems breathing, and my jaw was locking up. And then I found out I had general anxiety disorder, which was basically triggered from work and a few other things. But most of it was anytime I did anything work-related, my body would stress out like an extreme amount. And I had to basically cut back on work. That's when I started doing my 5 days a week thing, was when that happened. And, I got that figured out. I was doing fine. And then parts of my body started going numb later on in 2018, like in the middle of it. And then that was a whole new level of, why is my body going numb? And it was also around the time I lost my health insurance. So I couldn't go to the doctor to get it checked out. And then I eventually just bit the bullet and went, and it turns out that was just another symptom of anxiety. And that was a huge relief. Because that was, whatchamacallit, it turns out I wasn't doing a very good job. I was kind of cheating and working a little bit on the weekends anyway. Even though I was supposed to take a break, I wasn't doing a good job relaxing. So then after, the numbness issue, I was like, okay, for serious, I have to stop all kinds of work on the weekends and actually take time off. And so I did that, and I was doing good. And then around October, I had a hemorrhoid burst. I'm not going to go into many details about that because it's really gross. But that took me out of doing things for a while I was letting that heal. And then, I'm healing fine from that. I'm basically like 100% better from it. That was actually kind of recent. And then I went to Blizzcon, and when I got back, I started having hand problems, which stopped my ability to work again. Because my left hand, it's just, it's a problem I'm still working with. Honestly, I really need to schedule a doctor's appointment. Because I finally got my health insurance figured out. And, ooh, this is a demon? I don't remember ever doing this. Is this like the final quest of the zone? Yeah, it looks like this is 99%. Whoa. Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, my left hand's just hurting. I had to figure out how to work without typing too much. Especially since I'm doing a lot of scripts now, since I'm working with editors. I basically am writing more scripts than ever. I think that kind of messed with my hand. I need to go get that looked at, because it's been hurting for about 3 months now. It's doing a lot better, but then again, it should be, completely healed by now. And the fact that it's not means it's probably something else. So I still need to get that looked into. But I was able to get a voice recognition program working, which I basically just talk, and then it types it out, and then I just correct its mistakes, because it's really good. I'm surprised at how well it works. I can talk, and it will transcribe everything 90% perfectly, and it's actually a little bit faster than typing. I still prefer typing out scripts though, because it turns out you think a lot when you're typing something out rather than speaking it. It's a lot easier to organize your thoughts that way, but I'm still, just adjusting to it. I think even if my hand does get fully better, I should probably still do it anyway, just to lighten the load on my hands from all the typing I do. And then, around Christmas, I got sick, and I just completely lost my voice for 2 weeks. But then again, that was at the end of the year, not a big deal. So, just lots of medical problems that I've just been constantly dealing with. Luckily, none of them have been major. It's just lots of minor things that have just kind of put work on, I'm going to try to get videos out while I deal with this. Hopefully this year, not too many of them. I still have my hand thing to deal with, but that's not the end of the world. I can still type a little bit, and the voice program actually works very well. It just has a hard time with proper nouns. If I say something like Orgrimmar, or Thunderbluff, or Ashen Vale, it'll probably get those words wrong, but it gets everything else right. So, having constant medical problems for 2 years, I'm kind of used to them now. So, I should be able to work anyway. As I'm recording this right now, I can feel my chest starting to close up on me. But that's just the workplace general anxiety thing. That just happens if I record too much. And I don't really record Q&As like this too much. And plus, I was out of work for 2 weeks. This is the first long form thing I've done since then. I'll probably just have to take like a little break and then come back to it later. So that was, you know, what was going on with my channel for 20... Nice, avoided fall damage for 2018 and kind of 2017. I want to get back into doing more of the hobby projects, you know, as well as the normal work-related stuff. The good shit, the videos that people actually watch, instead of the ones that only I care about. Speaking of which, the Azeroth Weather Channel. I was thinking of moving my Q&As over there. Stone Talon Mountains? Yeah, let's do that. Ooh, an unspent talent point. Double charge, impending victory, Stormbolt. I think I want double charge. That sounds good. Okay, what was I talking about? I forgot. Oh yeah, the Azeroth Weather Channel. That's the video channel I put my, Seriously, it's not showing up? Desolus. Southern Barrens. It only shows you 3 at a time. This is really annoying. Basically have to accept all of them until the one you want shows up. The Hinterlands. Oh, god damn it. Just give me Stone Talon Mountains already. Holy hell. Oh my god, it's not gonna give it to me. It's just not gonna give me the Stone Talon Mountain one. Okay, skip this step. Talk to the Flight Master. Oh, I'm just gonna fly over there. I'm pretty sure I got some kind of follow-up comment. Follow-up quest to go there from Ashen Vale. Anyways, before I was talking about that, I think I was talking about the Weather Channel. Like, that's where I put the news videos. And I also started a new thing where I was doing like a discussion video where I would talk about topics of Warcraft, and then like the next week I'd make a response video to the comments from the discussion. People seem to like that. It was easy to make too. And, you know, since I'm doing that, I thought I might as well put my Q&As over there as well, because I really only want highly edited videos on my WoW channel from now on. And the Q&As, these are the last videos on this channel that aren't highly edited, since I've moved everything else away from it. You know, I moved the pet battles to their own channel, I moved the news videos to their own channel. I even started the discussion thing, which I would have never have done on this channel. And I have them all over on the Weather Channel now, so I thought might as well move the Q&A over there as well. But then again, the Q&A comes out so infrequently, I'm kind of undecided on it. To the Southern Barrens. Heck no. Take me over here. I'm undecided. I'm just thinking about it. I'll figure that out later. So that's it for to-do list for 2019. Talking about what happened in the previous year. And then after... I want to say after a short break, I'll go into the questions. But I can probably just, you know, talk about them real quick. Alright, question 1. You shouldn't hate on yourself so hard. I don't think knowing what you look like would taint my enjoyment of your videos. I think in my last video I talked about how the reason I don't show what I look like is because I don't look good. You know, which is true. But also, that comes across as, you know, hating on myself. I can see that. I understand how it looks that way. That's not my intention, but that is exactly what is conveyed when I say those words. I, personally, like how I look. I am perfectly confident in everything about myself, to the point where I need to kind of give myself reality checks. Otherwise, I'll have my head up my own ass. Because of my ego. So I say things like this, to kind of keep myself grounded, so that I don't think I'm the best person in the world, and that I do have areas of which I need to improve. Like, there's the very common sentiment, just be yourself. It's advice that's given in lots of movies and TV shows, and by well-meaning adults to children, just be yourself, and everyone will like you. When really, the quote is, be the best version of yourself. You should work to improve yourself, being yourself. Like, what if you're a huge asshole? Should you be yourself? No, you should probably try to change something about you. Be, who you want to be. Try to be the best version of yourself. Just being yourself implies you're perfect already and there's no reason to change. When really, everyone's always changing. And there's things you can't improve about yourself. But, also, not everything about yourself is terrible. Some people take it too far and they think everything they do sucks. I'm not like that. I generally am very confident in everything I do, to the point where I need to kind of give myself reminders that I'm not perfect. And there's lots of things I could improve on. And I think I have a healthy balance with that. And one of those things is, it's just a fact. I believe that I'm not conventionally attractive, which I'm fine with. It's not the end of the world. I'm not losing any sleep over it. And in fact, many people have liked me anyway, which I just find crazy. But that's just how it is. Turns out, if you have an excellent personality, as I believe I do, because I have worked many years cultivating an interesting personality. I've worked on myself a lot. Ooh, I don't know what the hell that's all about. In order to make up for my lacks of conventional attractiveness. Next question. There is a question in this. I wish I can have the self-confidence like you have. I've been in deep depression lately, and watching/listening to your videos have been giving me a boost of some sort. I'm not sure how. Hello, I want to know how you get that self-confidence from. The little bit of background you've been giving us, your childhood wasn't the best. Please let us know your secret. Yeah, you see, some people say I was too hard on myself, hating myself too much. And I also got a lot of questions asking about where my self-confidence comes from. Two kind of contradictory things, but, I understand both of them. My self-confidence definitely wasn't always there. I was pretty much a normal kid. I was a little bit more outgoing, than the average kid. Surprisingly, I was really, I guess outgoing is a good word for it. I was a huge extrovert as a kid. I was always playing with other kids. I was rarely by myself, and I made friends real easily. And that didn't really change until I was in middle school. Because I moved around so much when I was little, I had to make new friends every year. And by the time I went to middle school, and I was in 8th grade, and this was my 8th new school, I finally just got tired of it. Because, when you go to a new school as a kid, people aren't very open to making new friends because they have their friends already, and they don't really want more. You go to a new school in 5th grade, and all these people have been friends with their friends since kindergarten. They've been friends for 5 years. They're not too interested in the new kid. And the same happens when you go to, 8th grade. They have been friends since kindergarten, and they don't really care about the new kid who just came in. Nor do they want to care or talk to him or anything. So in order to make friends every year, I had to be outgoing. I had to talk to people because no one would talk to me. And in 8th grade, I decided to just give up and not even try. Because, I'm just going to move again the next year. Who cares? That's a pretty long time to go before giving up, though. I think I did a pretty good job. So in 8th grade, I didn't talk to anyone, and I didn't have any friends, and no one talked to me. And it got to the point where I got really shy, not talking to anyone. I kind of lost all my social skills I had. I just, I developed shyness, I guess. And I wasn't confident, because, if you're shy, you're too afraid to talk to people because you think all kinds of things. They'll like think badly or something. What if you say something wrong? All of those things. I don't care at all about any of that today. And it's kind of funny that I used to care so much about that in 8th grade. And it was really only relegated to 8th grade. In 9th grade, I was able to join the school's football team. And I was the best player on the team. So, because of that, I had many people coming up to me wanting to be my best friend. All the time. In like every class. I was instantly popular. And that kind of solved any of my problems. Kind of. And then I also got a job working for customer service at 16. And talking to groups of people all the time, every day, for 5 years. Because I worked there till I was 16, till I was 21. That helped a lot. You cannot be shy after an experience like that. But that doesn't really mean you have self-confidence either. I think one day I just decided, I'm just going to pretend I have self-confidence, because I heard fake it till you make it. And I was like, I might as well try that. I didn't really give it too much thought. I just decided one day that I was going to try it. I was going to pretend to be confident in everything I did. And I usually make major life-changing decisions like that on a dime, out of nowhere, with no prompting. That's kind of how I do everything in my life. And deciding to have self-confidence was one of those things. Also, deciding to make a YouTube channel was one of those. One day I just decided I was going to do it, so I did. And here I am like 5 or 6 years later. And so I just pretended to be confident. I would always talk myself up over everything, especially in my own personal downtime. And after a couple of years, I was just doing it automatically. And then like a year later, I just realized, you know what? I have a very high opinion of myself. And ever since then, I've just had high self-confidence. Because I just pretended to have self-confidence. And eventually it stuck. Like, that's one of the few things where you can absolutely change about yourself. If you just pretend long enough. Let's see here. A little bit about your childhood and stuff. I did talk about my childhood a little bit. Let's see. Were you always a self-confident person, or at some point in your life, something just changed? Yeah, I basically just decided to be a confident person. And then a couple of years later I was, because I pretended long enough. That's the thing. You can change a lot of things about yourself by just, pretending to be that thing. Not everything, of course. You can't magically fix, depression by pretending to be happy all the time. But you can absolutely change your self-confidence if you just pretend to be confident for a little bit. For a little bit, I mean a couple of years. But then again, some people have, some really deep-rooted issues about that. Maybe they had a parent who told them they were worthless their whole life. You can't really get over something like that, in the course of just pretending for a couple of years. That's going to need a lot more work than that. Personally, my mom, she was a drug addict and everything, but she never put down anything I did. She always was very supportive of everything I did, surprisingly. Well, pretty much everything. Not 100% everything, but, she wouldn't constantly make fun of me or belittle me. She was perfectly fine. So I didn't have, that kind of baggage to deal with. So I had a much better standing to, be able to fake the confidence thing for so long until it stuck. And now it gets to the point where if I'm feeling really bad about myself, and I'm having one of those negative days, ugh, I'm just useless, everything about me is worthless, an inner voice inside of me will be like, no, you're not, you idiot. He's like, stop saying shit like that, you're amazing. I was like, yeah, that's true. I don't even know why the hell I was trying to be negative about myself. And sometimes you just want to self-indulge in it. Sometimes I want to just throw myself a pity party because it feels good to embrace the negativity sometimes. But my brain doesn't allow it. Like, I'll try to do all that, and it'll just automatically start listing all of my good points and why I'm being ridiculous. And I was like, you know what? Inner voice inside of me, you're too wholesome. I'm sorry for trying to throw a pity party. And it just doesn't happen. I just have deep-rooted self-confidence to the max. Which is neat, but then again, that just means I can't throw myself pity parties, which is something I kind of miss. But, you know, that's not that bad. If you throw yourself too many pity parties, I'm sure you could eventually untrain your confidence. And that's not good either. I'd rather not. I kind of like the habits I have. Let's see, next question. The only problem I have with Taliesin's channel is how hard they try to make their current game look cool and exciting when it's really not. You can see it in their forced smiling and over-exaggerated acting. I mean, this kind of gets me like into another topic of talking about other WoW YouTubers. I personally like their content, and it can totally seem like overacting or painting a better picture than it really is if you yourself are convinced that things are bad and that there's no fixing it. Like, if you've already convinced yourself that everything's terrible and everyone around you parrots your opinions back to you, and then someone says something to the contrary, it can be really easy to assume that they're just lying. You know, or like, ugh, you know, they're, you know, just Blizzard chills or something, or, you know, they're obviously faking because everything's bad, because I hate it, everyone I know hates it, everyone on Reddit says it's bad, so obviously it's bad because my echo chamber has been telling me it's bad. But I watch all their videos. They give very reasonable criticisms, and also reasonably dispel a lot of the irrational hate. And they seem to genuinely enjoy what they're doing. I'm pretty sure anyone who makes videos about a video game has it ruined to them for an extent. Like, for me, I don't like to make videos about my hobbies anymore. Like, I've already ruined WoW and Yu-Gi-Oh! For me because I make videos about them. I just can't enjoy them in the way I used to anymore. Not to say I don't enjoy them, like, I've been having the most amount of fun playing WoW recently than I have in, like, years. And that's because I've been leveling a new monk and trying out tanking, and it's a lot of fun learning how to play a new class and style of playing the game. And also because I've been farming a whole bunch of mounts for video footage, and I've been having a lot of fun doing all those farms again, you know, for like an end goal in sight. And I've also been setting up crafting professions for pets, and setting up farms and like easy to do things for all of this stuff, and I'm just having so much fun with the game, and like hardly any of it has to do with current content. Some people are saying they're still enjoying the game. Just because you aren't doesn't mean they're being fake about it. At the same time, you know, someone is overly positive to the point of, like, you know, propaganda, then you should probably be a little bit suspect. I watch Taliesin and Evatel's videos. They don't do that. A good example of someone who does do that, like, I say this, I'm trying to say this in, like, the best way possible. Like, tips out. I enjoy his videos. I like to tell people, you know, if you want to know what I look like, just look at tips out, because we're like doppelgangers. And he does make good videos. And his streams are even pretty interesting. But his videos are so positive about Vanilla WoW, to the point where they're basically just propaganda. There is no nuance to them. It's purely positive. Everything about Vanilla WoW is literally the best, and there's no discussion. That's not the kinds of videos Taliesin and Evatel make. If they were, I would definitely say it, because I do have a counterexample. Like, I do love Tibbs' videos, even if they are super positive. The information itself is still valid. You know, he's just painting a very positive picture about it because he really enjoys it, and he wants other people to, you know, see the best parts of it, which is fine, but there's zero nuance to it. It's all positive. That's not the case with T&E. And there's also a point of, you know, this isn't really related to that. I don't like to bad talk YouTubers in these kinds of videos. If I'm saying something about them, I usually try to say something positive. Because in some of my earlier Q&As, I would sometimes bitch about some of the other more popular YouTubers. And I didn't really get that I was just jealous and finding a whole bunch of petty grievances to justify my petty jealousness. And nowadays, I'm perfectly aware of the fact that I get like a petty jealousy towards anyone who does better than me. And being aware of that fact allows me to look at it in a more objective way. I was like, you know what? They're not really that bad. And if you look at it in a more positive light, it's a lot easier to see why other people enjoy them and how they got to that level of success and how you could possibly emulate it. Talk to Overlord Cromgar. Oh. I am talking to Overlord Cromgar, except Seek and Destroy. There is no quest called Seek and Destroy. Like take Asmongold, for example. He's a really, like, negative person with lots of controversial opinions. He's a smart guy, though. He knows exactly what he's doing. I know exactly why he's popular. The guy is a good businessman. I've watched his streams and everything. They're entertaining. He's just a entertaining guy to watch. And I'd actually say I'm kind of a fan of him. So people will always ask me sometimes in streams or in like comments, like, what do you think about Asmongold reacting to your videos and stealing your content? And it's basically, you know, fine. I don't care. I don't think it's stealing. I also don't owe him anything, because lots of people also think, you know, that because he's watched some of my videos, that he's boosted, you know, my view count or subs, and that, you know, I should thank him. And to the point where I should say, you know, him reacting to my videos, he's only done like a couple. He doesn't like watch all my videos like he does with Bellier or something. What I've noticed is I have almost no change in viewership for it. I have no noticeable sub growth, and it also doesn't negatively impact me. So basically, it's not an issue, but it's also not really a benefit either. So I'm perfectly fine with it because I like Asmongold. I think he does really entertaining streams for what he does. And him reacting to the videos doesn't harm the channel. And it also doesn't really help it grow at all either. So I don't care. He has like my full permission to watch anything I've made on his videos. You know, not that he really needs it anyway. I'm just saying, I'm not going to do anything about it. I don't care. And I generally have pretty positive opinions about a lot of the WoW YouTubers. Because the community in like the WoW YouTuber scene is pretty wholesome when compared to some of the other ones. Because like in the Yu-Gi-Oh side of YouTube, I'm also part of the Yu-Gi-Oh community, and there is so much like cattiness and constant petty dramas between the people there. And it's almost hilarious how wholesome it is when you compare them to WoW, even with people like Asmongold or Heal versus Babyface, who's very negative all the time. Like, I even don't have a negative opinion about Heal versus Babyface either. He's found his niche and he's doing a good job in it. Incinerate 5 Northwatch tents. Anyways, that was kind of a tangent, not really what he was talking about. I just wanted to mention the whole, you know, 2&E thing and how they're constantly getting shit on in some of the places I go to. Obviously not that much because they're still doing very well. For being, you know, too positive about the game, and I just don't agree with that opinion. Alright, this next one isn't really a question. It's just saying the whole time you talk about your airport experience, I kept going, honey. Lots of people who watched my last Q&A, where I was talking about my Blizzcon experiences, I think the top voted comment was like, man, this is cringy. And it's like, that's fine. Because I had a lot of problems with my trip to BlizzCon because I've never traveled by myself before. And some people were like, how can you be 26 years old and have never traveled by yourself before? And I mean, the answer is pretty easy, because I don't like traveling. I don't like leaving my house. Of course, I've never been by myself, on a trip. I rarely even go on vacation. I'm a workaholic who has health problems from working too much. I think it's pretty reasonable to assume someone of my age has never gone on a trip by themselves before. So there was a lot of pitfalls of it, and I made sure to tell all of them. I could have easily have sugarcoated it all and made myself seem a little bit better, but I think it makes for a more interesting story when I tell you about all the things that went wrong, rather than all the things that probably went okay or right. I think I did a good mix of telling both of them. It was definitely more like bad things than there was good, but nothing like super bad, unlike my airport experiences or that one Uber driver, or Lyft driver. Sorry, I didn't take Uber. Funny enough, also, like, my family watched that Q&A too, because they were interested in details about the trip, and I just told them kind of the basics. And my little sister watched the entire thing in order to get the full story, and then she was the one telling everyone about what happened. I was like, yeah, I guess, if you want to know what happened with my Q&A, my Blizzard trip, I would highly suggest just watching that Q&A video, because I go into a lot of details about everything. That's because I had everything, written down. I wrote down my thoughts for the day after at the end of each day, and I just kind of read over my notes before making the video, so it was all fresh in my mind. It wasn't me completely telling everything off the cuff. There was some preparation in telling those stories. And I have experience talking about myself. So while I wasn't reading a script the entire time, I definitely had bullet points I was following. Kind of like what I'm doing for these questions and everything. Let's see, have you seen Love Live or Ryumo? Those are two animes. Love Live is an idol anime about a group of girls who form an idol for their high school in order to save it, because it's going to be shut down. I've seen parts of it, and I wasn't the biggest fan. I think I saw the first full season, and I tried watching the second season as well. And, it's just not my cup of tea. Love Live is incredibly popular. I think it holds the record for the most amount of Blu-rays sold. And it's just like a standard idol show. It's not really anything amazing. Or Ryumo is an anime that's controversial because it's about a little sister who falls in love with her older blood-related brother. I have seen it. I thought it was pretty good. Despite its subject matter. It's controversial because of the subject matter, for obvious reasons. It's an incest anime. But it had a lot of other things in the show that I thought were done very well. Surprisingly, based on the full scope of what the core conflict of the series is. So according to your mom, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was of the devil, but stealing from her own kids was okay. In my last one I talked about how my mom threw away all my Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards when I was a little kid. That's probably why I still play the game to this day. Just out of spite. I was like, I know you're wrong. When I was a kid, I always thought my mom was kind of not the smartest person in the world. So I questioned authority from a young age. And when she threw my stuff away, I was already not really in the phase of life where I completely did everything my mom told me anyway. So I thought she was wrong. And as I grew older, I realized, yeah, I was right in my assumption as a kid. Which doesn't really change much. I have a good relationship with my mom to this day. She helped me a lot with a lot of the medical issues I've been having too. And she's much more pleasant if I just meet her small doses. For family gatherings and everything. Perfectly fine. Living with her though, growing up with her, different story. She's also clean. She went to rehab, when I was a kid as well. She's not a drug addict anymore. but she was when I was little. And that's probably why, she was fine with stealing my Christmas and birthday money, but also thought Yu-Gi-Oh was of the devil, just because she was a drug addict. That's just kind of what druggies do. They don't really make logical decisions about those kinds of things. Whew, this next one's kind of a long one. I thought I deleted all the long ones. I went through and I copied and pasted a bunch of questions, and I thought this video was going to be too long, so I deleted a lot of the long ones. Looks like I left one of them in. I'll read it anyway. I had plenty of travel experiences with and without other people, but if I was in your place, I would have seen if there was someone that could have walked you through the initial airline check-in, so you wouldn't have to wander around the airport so much. You should have at least said hi to Jesse, Cox, and Krendor. I doubt they would have cared, and in fact probably would have recognized you from your videos. And maybe Krendor could have set a time for fishing with Krendor, and you could share your medical stories with each other. Yeah, that's true. Krendor has lots of medical problems too. Next time, make a 5 or 6 day thing. Give yourself a day or so to assimilate when you get there, and rest for a day after. You'll thank yourself for it when you get home. Someday I might get lucky enough to get to go to Blizzcon. So there's a lot to talk about with this comment. I should have had someone walk myself through the airports. I knew what I was doing. Yeah, that would have been nice. I'd agree. That's not what happened, though. Kind of just had to figure out everything for myself. Like a big boy. Someone who's 26 years old and, can ask people for help. Which is what I did. It's just, just because you ask for help doesn't mean you understand what they're saying. I still got lost, even though I definitely did ask people where to go and stuff. I should have said hi to Jesse. There was this point in the last Q&A where I talked about where I saw Jesse and Krendor walking by in a group. That wasn't really the best time to stop them and say hi, since I was standing in line. They were walking to another line. And I doubt either of them know who I am. I watch all of Krendor's videos, so I know for a fact he doesn't really watch YouTube videos anymore. And he definitely doesn't watch WoW videos. He doesn't really know what's going on with WoW. He's more of a general streamer now than he is a WoW YouTuber. And Jesse Cox, pretty sure he doesn't know who I am either. My videos aren't very well liked outside of... No, what's the word for it? They're obviously well liked enough if I'm getting tons of views, to do it for a living. They're not really the kind of thing that people, go out of their way to watch when they have nothing else to do. Blizzard themselves don't like my videos. To give you kind of an indication of what I'm trying to talk about, they're kind of clickbaity, and there are some people who are very against the idea of any kind of clickbait videos and just don't watch them, despite the fact that they get lots of views. Krendor and Jesse aren't the kind of people who I'd assume would watch those kinds of clickbaity things, especially about World of Warcraft. So I very doubt that they know who I am or have seen any of my videos. But they've probably seen them being recommended to them, because they both play WoW, to an extent. Sometimes Jesse will stream himself playing World of Warcraft, because he still, actively plays the game. And Krendor too, to an extent. But I doubt they really watch too many videos about them. There's lots of games I play that I don't watch videos about. And I just assume they're kind of like that. Ooh, I learned something new. And because of that, I doubt he'll ever invite me to fishing with Krendor. He only really invites, famous people. Or the really big WoW YouTubers. Actually, am I considered one of them? Not really. I'm still under 200,000K. Which, is still small time compared to all the other ones. But I think I'm probably big enough where it'd be okay. But I also don't have, super dedicated people who care about me personally. They're more about the clickbaity fact videos I make. A lot of my audience doesn't really care about me personally, because I haven't built my brand based on my personality. Like someone like Asmongold, for example. He's a good example of someone whose brand is built around him as a person. So people will watch basically anything he does if he's in it. Whereas me, I've built my brand around my content. People want to watch my content, and they don't really care too much about me personally. So I wouldn't be a good draw on that show anyway. Let's see. Next time, make it a 5 or 6 day thing? Heck no. I don't want to be away from my computer that long. I want to be over there as little time as possible and then get back home as soon as possible. Making it a longer thing just to, get used to it. That might help and everything, but at the same time, I kind of don't want to be there in the first place. So I don't see how being there longer would really help, when my biggest problem was I just wanted to go home. That's how I always am when I go on vacation. I just want to go back home. I don't want to be there, especially if I'm not really having a good time. Kind of like at Blizzcon. There were some fun parts about it, but on a whole, not that much. It was alright. I'm not even sure if I really want to go again this year. And then again, it wasn't the worst time in the world, I guess. I think it'd be more fun if I had, like a really good friend to go with or something. If you're not really having a good time, I don't see how spending more time there would really solve the problem. I think there's other issues I was having besides, not being used to it. I'm used to being in unfamiliar situations. I used to sleep in the streets when I was a kid. It's not really, the problem wasn't really that I wasn't used to being in a new location. It was more of I was kind of bored most of the time. And I wasn't really having as much fun as I thought I would. But, some small bits of it were okay. I did get to meet some people. I did get have a little bit of fun. But a majority of it was kind of blech. It was it was alright, I guess. It's a good excuse to go out and meet people. It's a good experience. I'm all for experiences. Experiences are the things you should be spending your money on, not really things or items. So overall, it was okay. But it definitely wasn't really, the being there part that was the problem. Alright, let's see here. Next question. Oof, I'm at the hour point. The problem with renting a car for BlizzCon is some hotels charge $17 a night to park, or at least that's what the embassy seats charge to park there. I used Uber and only had one issue with someone who took my Uber ride. I think this was in response to my terrible Lyft drivers I had to deal with. There was far too many of them. Only one really bad one, the rest were all fine. My biggest problem was just finding a location for them to pick me up, which was a pain in the ass, and the fact that they all, for some reason, thought it was a good idea to try to talk to me. It's man, I'm fine with small talk. I've practiced small talk. It's something I've cultivated as a skill, because small talk is a very important skill to have. It's much more important, because there's lots of people who have this incorrect notion. They don't like to talk because they only like to talk about great ideas. And if you're not talking about something big and something, important, then it's not worth your effort to talk, which is just stupid. It's usually only said by people who just have poor social skills and don't know how to do small talk, because it is a skill you have to learn. It's just something that most extroverts can do naturally. And they just see it as all unimportant talk about stupid bullshit, when really, you get to the important conversations through small talk. So I understand the importance of small talk, saying all this thing. Thing is, though, I don't want to have small talk with people I'm never going to see again. They're just random strangers and everything. I justify to myself when I talk to them anyways, this can just be good practice of small talk, because I am kind of out of practice with it, since I haven't had to initiate small talk with people in a while. But at the same time, I don't care. I'm much more interested in having small talk with people, that I have some semblance of caring about, Like having small talk with a random fan. I'm fine with that. We have like some common ground there. They're a fan of my work. And I like that. Or, talking to someone I might want to be friends with. There's something there for the small talk. Something like a common ground thing. Or having small talk with a cute girl. There's a thing of, trying to get them to think you're an interesting person. Trying to trick them into liking your personality and stuff. To look past your looks. Those are the importance of small talk. There are also some instances of small talk where I just don't really care. And one of them is, talking to Lyft drivers. There's nothing for me there. I just kind of want to get to my location. This is just a travel thing. It's not a thing where I'm trying to meet people. Or even, it's just, I'm antisocial by nature. And I don't want to talk to people if I don't have to. But at the same time, it's not that big a deal. I would probably just rather, have my own car. That way I don't have to talk about people who, like my bad Lyft driver who just kept talking about politics. It's like, I don't care. Shut up. I don't want to hear your extreme opinions on stupid shit. This is why I cut people like you out of my life, so I don't have to have these kinds of conversations. Oh, and $17 a night, to park your car, I can afford that. It would be worth the convenience tax. I'm pretty sure the place I was at didn't charge any for parking. I was at a really crappy Motel 6. That was probably another one of my issues. I should have definitely gotten just a room closer to the convention center. If I do go again, I'm going to make sure to get a much better hotel. I love how you just talk about your difficult past so easily. I'm just like that, but it seems so to weird people out. When to me it's more like, meh, things happened, I survived, and even had a good time every now and then. Also, are you single? Asking for a friend. Yeah, that's the thing. I have to be careful when I talk about my past, because I really don't want pity. Pity is a very powerful tool of manipulation. You can use it to get people to like you, to feel sorry for you, to get favors from them, or to ask them for things. I don't like to use it because that's just like one of my many self-imposed morals. One of them is I don't like to talk badly about people behind their backs because I used to gossip all the time when I was a teenager, to the point where I realized I was only ever having conversations if it was to talk shit about someone behind their back. I was like, I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want to be the kind of person who only ever just gossips when they have conversations. So I made it a point to only say positive things about someone behind their back. And if I have anything negative to say about it, I'll say it to them personally. I also just assume that no one else has this mindset. I assume people talk negatively about me behind my back. So if I find out about it, I'm not surprised. It's like, oh, that's fine. Everyone does it. I'm literally like the only person I know who doesn't do it. Or, tries to do it. And one of the other things is I don't want to manipulate people for nefarious reasons. And pity is a very powerful, nefarious manipulation tool. So I don't like to use it. Also, are you single? Yeah. I have always been single. I have never once been in a relationship. In 3 years, since I'm going to be turning 27 this year, I'll be getting my wizard powers. Let's see here. Next question. Have you ever played any Final Fantasy game? If yes, what's your favorite one? If no, I think you should give them a try. It has all you like about RPGs and has grinding involved with all JRPGs. 6, 7, and 10 would be a great way to get into it. I have tried a lot of Final Fantasy games. I've tried like numbers 1 and 2 and 3. I've tried 7. I've tried Crisis Core. And I've tried Final Fantasy Tactics. Like, those are like the 5 games I've tried. And of all of them, the only one I liked was Tactics. And that's like not standard Final Fantasy. That's like a spin-off Final Fantasy game. Final Fantasy Tactics was great. I love that game. Like, the gameplay was great because I love those kinds of tactics games, and also the story was surprisingly good. I wasn't expecting, like, a political intrigue story about, betrayal and shit like that in a Final Fantasy game. I was like, oh shit, I actually kind of want to see what happens next. And the gameplay was great too. And then all the other ones are just like standard, farming shit, and I just got bored. Wasn't really too interested. I don't think I like farming as much as I used to, I think. But then again, I've been farming a lot these past couple of weeks for like my mount videos I'm working on. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. So I don't know. I think I only like certain kinds of farming. I'm not just a fan of all forms of farming in general. I'm only a fan of some kinds. And the kinds in Final Fantasy aren't really the kinds I like all that much, I think. Or maybe I just need to try out some of the really good games. But I mean, I've already tried out like 5 of them, and I only really cared for one of them, which wasn't really part of the main series. So maybe. It's not a no. It's not even like a soft no. It's more like I might try it in the past, but so many other games I could play. So many other games I want to try. And I don't think I'm as much of a fan as RPGs as I used to be. I think my taste in games has just kind of changed over time. But I think I still like strategy games more than I like action games. Let's see, next one. Don't like the gameplay and art style Path of Exile. I don't think I can watch you anymore, smiley face. I bring this one up because I was in like one of Nixium's streams, and I posed the question. It's like, too bad this game's graphics aren't as good as D3. Otherwise, I would like it a lot better. And he like stopped the stream in order to talk about that question. He's like, dude, this game's graphics are amazing. D3 looks like a kiddie's game compared to it. And I was like, looking at his stream, it wasn't half bad. I had to change my opinion a little bit because of that. I was like, okay, the graphics, you got me there. You're playing high-level play. It's a lot different from the early town I was playing in. This doesn't look half bad. I still don't like it, though. So it's probably not the graphics I don't like. It's the art style. And it's funny that you actually say art style here. Yeah, I don't enjoy the realistic art style of Path of Exile. But I will stop calling the graphics bad. Because they're not really. Just because I don't like the art style doesn't mean the graphics are bad. They're okay. I still don't think they're as good as as D3. But then again, that's probably just because I prefer D3's art style. I like the cartoony shit, and I don't like the realistic look of stuff. That's just my own personal taste in art, I guess. And also the gameplay. I've talked to a lot of other people about Path of Exile, and a lot of them said the gameplay in the beginning is really bad. And this is from a lot of people who are huge fans of the game. And I even had a friend who told me, he was a huge fan of D3 and he thought Path of Exile's gameplay was terrible too, until he got to late game, in which case it actually becomes fun. I was like, okay, friend who told me this, I actually trust your opinion on video games a little bit. So he kind of convinced me to give Path of Exile another try. I don't really like the art style, but the graphics themselves are fine, I guess, and you can always just get used to the art style of a game. It's not the biggest turnoff in the world. And the gameplay, if it gets much better at higher levels, I think I could probably give it a shot because I really like Diablo 3. It's like one of my favorite games of all time. And that's why I'll never make videos about it. Because I don't want to ruin it. Although, they're doing a good job of making me bored of it by just not having any new content for it. I am so starved for new Diablo content. But that's not gonna happen. So Path of Exile is my next best choice, especially since Path of Exile gets, content updates all the time. I'll have to try to give that a shot someday. I tried it out again, last weekend, and it was still really boring, so I gave up. I'm gonna keep trying to slowly try it out until I can just, stick to it until I get to max level or something. I'm gonna give it another shot, even though I talk crap about it all the time. Let's see. Next question. You say you have a huge ego, but you also strike me as someone who doesn't need approval from other people, nor actively seeks it. Ever heard of the term omega male? To me, you seem like a true embodiment of the word, and I'm saying this as a compliment. I've never heard of omega male. I don't like to consider myself an alpha male because I think that's a stupid term only incels use. Let's see. Or people who are super macho and shit. Urban Dictionary, omega male. A confident and capable male that doesn't seek approval or abide by social hierarchies. He sets his own goals and defines his own success. Ooh, yeah, that's basically my life philosophy right there. You know, that's the perfect word to describe me. I don't care. I've never really cared about authority, you know, to like blindly follow them. I'll do what leaders tell me to do if I agree with what they're doing. But I always make decisions on my own. I never just blindly follow people. And I always make my own opinions about things. That's why I'm able to have, you know, controversial likes on things. I actually like the Twilight series, despite, you know, universal panning and criticisms of it, because I've come to my own conclusion about it. And I also enjoy Game of Thrones, even though it's very popular. I don't hate on things because they're popular, and I don't like things because they're unpopular. I just come to my own conclusions on things about everything. And I also, you know, like whenever I had group projects in school, I never wanted to be the leader, but I would always offer if no one else wanted to take the job. Because it's like, being a leader is a pain in the ass. It's not fun. It's a lot of extra work. And I'd rather not do it if I don't have to. I think I bugged out. Can I just cancel them out? Okay, there we go. But if like no one else cared, I would become the de facto leader and tell everyone what to do. But I didn't like doing that. So if someone else, you know, volunteered to lead, I was like, thank God. If they did stupid shit, I would argue with them, you know, and get in my way. But if they were generally doing an okay job, I was totally fine with letting whoever wanted to lead do whatever they want. And I've never really cared about society standards of success. You know, get married, get a job, get a house, have kids, all the 9 yards. That was never my interest growing up. And I thought other people were the same. You know, like they all just thought for themselves, or, you know, they didn't care about stupid shit like that. And then one day at football camp, we had like these team building things we did at night. And one of them was like, we had this little mini stage, and the coach told everyone to go up on the stage and tell everyone, you know, like who you look up to the most and what you want to do in 5 years. You know, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And the vast majority of the other players who went up there, you know, football players, all, you know, the most macho people who are super manly in every way, all of them talked about the person they looked up to the most was whoever their father figure was. Like either their dad or uncle or just some older sibling or someone who taught them how to be a man, which I thought was ridiculous. I was like, that's so stupid. That's who you look up to? Someone who taught you how to be a man. Being a man is such a stupid term that I always thought was the dumbest thing growing up because I heard it so much from my family. It's like, yeah, okay, I don't give a shit. I'm going to do whatever I want, and if it happens to be what being a man is, fine. If it doesn't, that's also fine, because I don't care. So I was so surprised that that wasn't the standard thinking. This is when I found out that I wasn't a normal person. Was hearing all of these people talk about how much the person who taught them how to be a man meant to them. I was like, oh, ugh, this is making me gag. How do all of you people care about this so much? It's so stupid. Isn't it? Am I the crazy one here who doesn't care? And also, all of them talked about how they wanted to be married and have kids. And I was like, why? Why would you want kids? They're the worst. You guys are all like 16, 17 years old and you all want to have families already? And you want to have kids? Ugh. And at, you know, like 25? Like, that's too early. You're wasting your life. Kids are the worst. You can't do things if you have kids. There's so many things that you're just like... The Queen and her court? I don't have that quest. No, I do have that quest. It's just over here. Wow, I don't know why my mounts are messed up right now. Anyways, all of them were a variation of, they looked up to, their father figure, whoever taught them how to be a man, which I thought was so dumb. Oh, maybe it was just lagged out. I think I'm having some problems with WoW right now. And also, they all wanted to have kids and families in 5 years. And when I went up to the stage, I was like, okay, person I look up to the most, I don't really look up to anyone, but my little brother looks up to me a little bit, so he's probably my most, important person, I guess. And also, in 5 years, I'm not gonna be married. I'm not gonna have any kids. I'm gonna do whatever I want. And everyone just laughed. I thought I was making a joke, because I had a reputation in football as being, my football nickname was Serial Killer. So no one cared what I said. And they all thought it was funny. Where everyone else was serious about it. And, that was the day I realized, I'm not normal. I have an unconventional worldview that is not shared by, a majority of people. And I guess Omega Male is a good way to describe it. My most happiest time was the year after high school when I just played WoW for a year. That was probably my happiest year of my life. Even though I wasn't in school, and I was working a minimum wage job, and all I did was play WoW on my laptop all day, every day. And that was the most fun I've ever had, and the most happiest I've ever been. I just have different views on the world, I guess. Oof, the game is bugging out for me right now. I think I might want to log out and log back in, or that might solve some of these kinds of problems. Anyways, while I'm doing this, let's try to go on to some of the next ones. Finish these up so this isn't 2 hours long. Let's see, thanks for the Q&A. What mobile games would you recommend? You said the most of your mobile games are strategy games, which I also enjoy. I play 2 mobile games a lot, and I don't know if I'd really recommend either of them. One of them is Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. If you like Yu-Gi-Oh!, it's kind of hit or miss or whether or not you like the game. Because a lot of, hardcore Yu-Gi-Oh! Players don't like Duel Links because it's different from regular Yu-Gi-Oh! The rules are literally just different, but they use the same cards. Kind of. They have, a very limited pool of cards that they allow you to use. It's a completely different metagame from regular Yu-Gi-Oh! But I quite enjoy it. I play both of them. Duel Links players and regular Yu-Gi-Oh! Players are mixed. They're usually 2 separate fan groups because of how different the mobile game is. And the other one I play is called Idol Heroes, which is a pay-to-win Chinese game. Which I'm not sure if I would recommend because it's a pay-to-win Chinese game. Looks like I'm still not getting some of these things on the map. Oh, looks like they spawned. I'm able to use mounts now. That was a weird bug I was experiencing. And lots of mobile games are really pay to win, so it's hard to find one that's good and that's also not pay to win. Except Natural, skip this step. Get 6 Stone Talon Ram Horns. Okay. I'd probably recommend Diablo Immortal, though, if you like, Diablo games and you own a phone. Or Pokemon, or Yu-Gi-Oh! No, not Yu-Gi-Oh! What the hell? Pet Battles. I can't wait for that to come to the mobile. That seems like that would be something totally up my alley. Hey Hiru, do you have a philosophy for your life that you follow? If so, what is it? My philosophy has always been have fun, do what you want, not what other people expect of you, and you'll have a much better time with life. I think. I'm doing a pretty good job with my life. Not everything's perfect. There's definitely some things, I want or that could be better. But for the most part, I've been a happy person. I probably would be now if I could just change a few things about my life. But I don't even really know what. I'm happy enough. I guess one of the biggest things to be happy is to not chase happiness. which is not something I've ever really done. I've always just chased my passions and done whatever I want. And because of those, I've been generally a happy person. Despite the fact that lots of things in my life, go wrong all the time. But then again, some things go right. Some people might think that, having 2 successful YouTube channels, you're doing good in life. You have a good job. And it's like, yes, I do. And I love what I do. But also, there's more to life than your work. I never really cared about my work. I was perfectly happy working part-time. So the fact that my job is going great is more like a bonus, and not really a goal that I was having in my life. I don't live to work. I work to do, to live, to have other things. And the fact that my hobbies coincide with my job is kind of just like a bonus. Any tips for starting out on YouTube? I've heard buying good equipment is a start, aka a good microphone, but I'm not sure what else to consider. Yeah, there's lots of hints I would give. I want to make a video about it. Like, I have a video. Like, I made a video for this question. And at the start of the video, I say, I made this video so I could link it to people who asked me for tips on how to start YouTube. But the video is kind of lacking. There's a lot of things I think I left out of it, or I talked about that weren't really important. So I have like a new list of things I want to write out. From like everything I missed in the original video, or things I just kind of want to clarify from it. And then I'll probably post it to the Azeroth Weather channel when I finish it. And in that case, I'll have something to link you guys, because I don't really like the old video. Actually, let me look at my list real quick. I can read off a couple of tips I have. Videos to be made. Here it is. Here's a good tip. There is no one set way to make it, and sometimes it's best to break the rules, or do your own thing. But you can't break the rules if you don't know them first. Some people will know what to do in order to be successful on YouTube, and then just completely ignore it, is to know all of the rules and ins and outs of how to be successful, and then choose to see if you want to do them or not, if you think it's worth it. Kind of like how I drop series and stuff if they don't make me enough money. Some people might never do that because they have artistic integrity and they want to do whatever they want, whenever they want, which is a perfectly valid way of living their life. I don't do that, but that doesn't mean I, think less of people who do that. At that point, though, you're probably just doing this as a hobby and not as a work thing, if that's how you're going to treat it. Just don't be too surprised if, it doesn't work out for you very well. It absolutely could, though. There are tons of YouTubers who made it, literally just doing whatever they want. But also, most of the ones who do make it and seem like they're doing whatever they want, they're pretty smart business people behind the scenes. Kind of like Asmongold. That's a good example of someone who looks like they're doing whatever they want, but they're actually doing a lot of things based on business decisions. Like Asmongold has said he doesn't do raids, high mythic pluses, or arenas because they're not good things to watch on streams, which is true. Absolutely true. But it also seems like he's just playing whatever he wants on his things and doing everything, but he's actually making smart business decisions and making decisions based on what he wants to do and will also do well. But in order to learn all the rules, that's a lot of things. There's lots of YouTuber books out there that teach you all the stuff. I'm reading a couple of them right now. I heard, Nixium was even talking about in one of his videos that he's writing his own YouTuber book. I was like, man, I am interested to see what he has to say on it. Nixium is another guy who knows what he's doing, but chooses to do whatever he wants anyway. That's why he has lots of success. And also why he's having a lot of fun with what he's doing. You have to know the rules if you're going to break them. But then again, that's what you're asking. Is like, what are the tips and everything? It's like, yeah, there's resources out there for it. And I'd like to give my own little thing out there. My own opinions and stuff. Okay, so let's see. Follow the path up. There's only a couple more questions on here. Getting a good microphone, yeah, that's a good start. People care much more about audio quality than they do video quality. So getting a decent mic is like one of the first things you should do. Everything else, though, is not as important. What's the update? What's the update on Dave and DevBot Hero? Keep up the good work. I talked about this at the beginning of the video. I only wrote it down here so I could talk about it again. I plan on making the 3rd season. I want to finish the series, but I'm not in a rush to finish it. So even though the last episode of Season 2 came out in 2017, and there were no updates in 2018, that doesn't mean I've abandoned it. It just means it's on a very long production cycle now, because it's not a priority. Like, at all. But it is also something I haven't officially abandoned, because if I abandon something, I'll say it. I'm not shy about dropping shit, because there's lots of series and stuff that I've just completely dropped and I'm not going to do again. You know, like the Jokes channel, I've completely dropped it and I'm making one more video for it. Dave and DevBot is not one of those things that I've dropped. It's just on a slow production cycle, because it's not easy to make. And I don't want to lower the quality as much as I did in Season 2. I wanted to give Season 3 a medium level of quality. Not as good as the last episode of Season 2, where I spent 6 months working on it. But also not as bad as some of the early episodes of Season 2, where I was able to make them in a couple of hours. You said multiple times that you have a sister, but did she live the same way you did with your mother, or did she have a different kind of childhood from yours? Good question. I do talk about my sister sometimes. I have 2 sisters. I was the middle child until my little brother was born, because I have a sister 2 years older than me, and a sister 2 years younger than me. So I have both an older sister and a younger sister, of both equally apart. And currently my little sister lives with me, along with my little brother and her fiance. And my little brother is 8 years younger than me. So there was a huge gap in between, because I only have 4 siblings. My 2 sisters are 2 years apart each, and my little brother is 8 years apart, which is a huge gap. So he was always the little baby of the family. And since he was so young, he didn't actually experience the same things we did. But yes, my older sister and my younger sister, they went through all the same stuff I did. And, they have their own problems because of it. I'm fine of talking about my own problems. I'm not really one who talks about other people's problems. That's why there's a lot of stories I can't really tell because they involve other people. Ooh, my inventory's full. Shit. Anyways, my older sister, she has 2 kids now. And she spoils them rotten and gives them whatever they want. And they have so many toys and everything. And that's because, when we were kids, we never got anything. And we always wanted, all the toys and stuff for Christmas and stuff. So she basically gives her kids the childhood that we never had. That's kind of how she copes with it. And yeah, there was just, they both had the same childhood. Let's see. Last question. Hiru, why did you, a person who lives in Arizona, fly to California instead of a bus or driving? Simple. A bus or driving is about an 8 to 10 hour drive, whereas flying is 45 minutes. It is much faster and convenient to, basically learn how to use the airport and just fly to California than it is to deal with taking a bus or renting a car to drive out there. It's just, for all the problems I had with the airport, it is still more convenient to take an airplane than it would have been to take a bus or drive there. Because I have driven to California before. That's how I've always gotten there. Because our family would frequently, pretty much all of our vacations, most of them were to California. So I've driven there a couple of times, and it's never any fun. So if I'm just going by myself, I'm not going to drive 8 hours to California. I'd much rather go to the airport and just fly there for 45 minutes. And that's it for the questions and everything. Looks like it's all over. That's the last one. How long is this? I have an hour and 45 minutes on here. It's kind of long. Okay. Considering I just got my voice back this week, I don't think I did half bad. Like last week, my voice was still completely unusable. So I think it's recovered quite a bit. I just have kind of a stuffy nose, so it might have sounded like, I don't know. It should be fine. So that's it for the Q&A. I'm probably just going to log out right here and then continue from here next time. People said they didn't really like the leveling while I do it. I think it gives me something to do, while I'm talking about these kinds of things. Because otherwise, I'm just staring at the screen while I just basically talk to myself. If I'm playing the game while I do it, it kind of feels like I have something to channel while I'm doing everything. Sometimes it'll give me excuses to take breaks or gather my mind. I kind of like doing it this way. As long as the quests are easy to do like they are right now, I don't really have to think while leveling right now because, I have all full heirlooms and I have my add-on which tells me everything to do. If the quest is somewhat complicated, it will give me detailed instructions on it. So as long as I have this leveling add-on and I have all these BOAs, I can basically level without thinking, which is great. Oh, I forgot I had this. I don't think I really need that, though. So I'm probably going to keep doing it unless people really hate it. Because I kind of like doing it this way over the other way. Like, if it was, either or, like, I don't really care, or it's kind of distracting to level while I'm doing the Q&A, I might just cut it because some people have complained about it. But I kind of like it, so I'm more reluctant to cut it, unless people just really don't like it. Also, I'm thinking about just moving it to the Azeroth Weather channel instead, so I can make it more frequently. I don't want non-heavily edited videos on the main channel anymore. But also, the Q&As, they definitely get a bigger audience if I just upload them there. But also, they never get a lot of views. Not too many people really care about what I have to say about things. Like I said earlier, my content is more content-driven rather than personality-driven. That's just how I built my channel. That's just how it is. Which is fine. That's how I built it. I know what I'm doing. I didn't do these kinds of things, on accident or anything. Oops. Just couldn't help myself. I just had to complete the quest. I was thinking about moving them over there because that one is more of a, people who go to that channel are kind of more interested in the news and some of them are more interested in what I have to say. That seems like that could be my channel where I put these kind of fluff videos. I don't do the Q&As to make money. If I were to consider it a series, that I need to cut or something, it would definitely be one that would have been cut a long time ago if it wasn't for the fact that it takes no effort to make. It's super easy to make these videos to the point where I don't even really have to consider them when thinking, do these make me money or not? Should I cut them? No. They're fine. They basically take as long as it takes to record them to make them. With some light editing, and actually the rendering is kind of a pain in the ass. I just kind of have to figure out a time and day where I can render it for 2 hours. Unless I just don't edit them, but, sometimes I'll cough or something, and I don't want you guys to have to listen to that. So I'm thinking about moving them, but I'm not 100% sure yet. And if I do move them, I'd probably like to do them more often, just because I really like talking about myself. Anyways, that's it for this one. If you have any questions for the next one to be answered, or if you wouldn't mind them being on the new channel instead, just let me know.